Hi friends, welcome back to Two Spirit Life. If you haven't been following along, I've been doing a series on visiting all 151 U.S. national forests in the continental United States. I've already covered Maine White Mountain National Forest, and I will be covering another one coming up shortly, but I wanted to do a video talking about the Starlink system and how I power that off of solar. This is going to be an honest review of my experience with both the, of course, Starlink system and then the 100-watt solar kit from Harbor Freight. Okay, so I finally found a camp spot, and this is going to be home for the next couple of days at least, but it is getting very close to the time that I got to get online for work, so I got to quickly get the Starlink set up and get the day going. Now I'm a little bit concerned because I don't have the best open view of the sky. There's a few clearings here on the canopy that I hope will work, but I got this really long cable that will let me move around and hopefully I can get a decent connection. I'll move things around later and get them in better positions once I get it at least to going, because I really do got to get online to work. Okay, so I've been trying for the last half hour to get this thing online, and I gotta say, so far I am not at all impressed with Starlink. They advertise Roam as go anywhere, but you have to have an absolutely clear, unobstructed view of the sky. There can't be any tree branches, there can't be any shadows. It has to be completely clear, and that just won't work for what I'm doing. So I'm not sure this is going to work for me, and I may have to try to find another solution. But for now, I've got to pack it up. I've got to get back into town somewhere because I have to get online for work. Well, I had to go back into town. I really wanted to avoid having to do that, but I had to work. I had to get online, so I figured I would immediately head out after work and try to find a spot, and I think I did. Now, I passed this one on my way out the first time early this morning. We're going to see if this area is clear enough to get some satellite internet. It looks like it should be, so I'll show you what we got here. So here is my view of the sky. Now there's a tree right there, but I think I can get around it. You can see it's got a pretty wide open view of the sky. Let me turn around here. This pretty wide open area there. That tree right there might cause an issue, but we'll find out. It's amazing how picky this is when it comes to obstructions. Well, here's my setup for now. It's ugly, but this is just kind of to figure out what works and what doesn't. So I got the inverter down here. Now I did run it earlier today, and it powered the Starlink just fine, no issues. I was getting plenty of sunlight, so let's go ahead and turn it on here. If I can find the button. Now, some people have complained about the noise of the fan of this little inverter from the reviews I saw, but to be honest, it really isn't that bad. I mean, it's quiet right now, but it does get louder. And that's about as loud as it gets right there. And to me, that's tolerable. That's actually pretty mild compared to some other inverters I've used. It is the next morning, and I fiddled around with this thing the better part of the evening last night trying to get it working. I ended up putting the dish, or dishy as they seem to call it, on the hood of my Jeep, and it is facing to the north. So yeah, I've got some obstructions there, but there's the app for Starlink that helps you position the dish so that you can kind of align it to where it needs to be aligned. And this is the direction that it needed to have me pointing it at, which is not optimal because over here facing the south is a much more open area. So it did connect and it is working-ish, but my connection drops every 30 to 60 seconds. I can't really get more than a minute of solid internet. So it's going to be a real challenge to get this to work. I'm probably going to play around with it a little bit more today to see if I can get it in a spot that it can work better. But I got to say, so overall, my overall review of this is it's not great. I ended up moving the dish further out into the camping spot, closer to the road. It has a little more open area. It's a little clearer, a little more sky space, so to speak. And I was hoping that it would improve the connection, and it really has not. Now, I went ahead and done a reset of the obstruction map, which is something you can do within the Starlink app that is supposed to kind of map out where the obstructions are. And I haven't noticed any noticeable difference. I will spin around here and show you a perspective from the dish at what I'm looking at in the sky. So this is the dish perspective. And as you can see, there is plenty of open sky, but the trees on either side are kind of obstructing parts of its view apparently, and that is causing issues. Here is my power setup, and it is very ugly right now. I don't have the inverter anchored down anywhere because this is kind of a trial run to see how things go, and I don't want to make anything anchored or kind of semi-permanent until I know that it's all going to work. But what I have here is I have three 35 amp hour batteries at 12.8 volts. So each battery would give me about 440-ish watt hours of power. So I got three of those, so I've got around 1,300 and something watt hours of power, which has worked out well. Final thoughts. Overall, I'm not completely thrilled with the Starlink system, but it is accomplishing what I needed to accomplish for now. It's not great, it's not completely stable, but it does allow me to work while I'm out in this beautiful national forest right now. I just have to deal with the random and frequent connection drops. I believe that that will improve with a couple of changes that I can make. Number one, trying to find a spot that is more open. Well, the mosquitoes are bad today. Trying to find a spot that is a little more open, and also I may look into getting some sort of collapsible portable pole system. I don't really know if anything like that exists that could support the weight of that dish, but I am going to look into that. If I can get it at a higher elevation, I might have better luck. Now, I do say that with a grain of salt. I know that it is also very susceptible to weather conditions such as a thick cloud cover, heavy fog, rain, snow, whatnot. It does have a built-in feature that if it does get covered with snow, that it can actually turn on a little heater inside of it that will melt the snow off of it. That draws a lot of power, so I won't be using that. I'll be manually cleaning it as needed in the winter if I'm in an area that needs to use that feature. It works for what I need it to do. Being is that there is no other option, I have to go with it. And I also have to be careful to not let my own personal bias of the owner of Starlink, Elon Musk, interfere with an honest review of the product. It is performing as advertised. They do tell you flat out, straight up front, that it needs a completely unobstructed view of the sky. So that is a fact. They didn't lie. They didn't mislead me on that. I knew that going in. I just hoped that it wouldn't need a completely clear view of the open sky. So I can't call them deceptive. I was a little unhappy with the price. So just to get set up is about $530 something with tax to get the standard dish, which is what I got. You can get the mini dish, which is lighter, more compact, uses less power. That one is running about $600 for just the kit, which of course includes the dish, the router, the power supply, and all the cables needed to get it up and going. And then you can get a monthly plan for as little as $50 a month that'll limit you to 50 gigabytes of data per month. Now that's for the Starlink Mini. For the Starlink Standard, they don't have that option. You do end up paying $150 a month, but it is unlimited data. There's no data caps. They don't slow you down after using X amount of data, which is good, which is really good for an internet service provider. A lot of them will cap your data after you've hit a certain level, and it's really frustrating, which is another reason why I didn't try to get some sort of cell phone signal booster or something like that. Those are mostly a gimmick, for the record. Those don't necessarily work. They work great for bringing in a signal so you can receive, but they're not so great as sending the signal back out. So when I did a speed test on the Starlink system out here where I'm at, I was pulling down consistently about 120 megabits a second, which is still considered broadband. Anything 10 megabits or higher right now is considered broadband internet connection. So it's way, way above that, even though the connection does drop frequently. And that's the download. The upload is between 20 and 25 megabits per second, which is about what I get on my home internet, which is Comcast. So that's average, no issues there. The latency is a little higher than normal. It's running around 60 to 85 milliseconds on the latency, which is not terrible. Right now it's running about 60, and that's kind of where I see it most common. At home, I get between 35 and 40 on my home internet. So you're not going to notice a huge difference unless you're trying to game on it. I don't recommend using it for heavy gaming, like if you're playing Counter-Strike or something like that, which I'm not a gamer, so I could care less about that. Overall, it is working. I'm not thrilled, but it is accomplishing what I needed to accomplish. Now, the solar kit, on the other hand, I have been very, very happy with. This was a Christmas gift from my fiance, and I was included two 35 amp hour sealed lead acid batteries, and it comes with four 25 watt amorphous silicone panels, which gives you a total of 100 watts. It comes with the charge controller and all the cables you need to connect it. And the big benefit, I think, to this kit for me, number one, is that the amorphous silicone panels work better in low light. Now, if you take a monocrystalline panel of the equal size, it's going to give you more energy output per square inch or whatever they rate that as, but it's not going to work as well in low light. I went ahead and purchased a third battery. Now these batteries are 12.8 volt, 35 amp hour each, and the way you calculate the watt hours is you take the volts times the amps. So with these three batteries at 35 amp hours each, you combine that, you get about 105 amp hours times 12.8. That gives you right around 1,330 watt hours of power. And what that means is, theoretically, if you had a 1,300 watt light bulb, you could power that light at full power for 1 hour before you would drain your batteries. Now, okay, these bugs are annoying. Now, with the Starlink is drawing between 40 and 75 watts. 75 watts is what its maximum rated is. I will occasionally have a laptop charger plugged in as well, and that's drawing about 65 watts. So we're looking at around 140, 150 watts of power being drawn off of the batteries. So in theory, I should be able to run without any sun coming in for around 13 hours-ish, give or take. Energy spikes go up and down, and that can be flexible, but that's a kind of a rough approximation. I have had this kit going all day. I have been running the Starlink all day, with the exception of 1 hour that I shut down for a quick little lunch break to give the batteries a break. And it's still going strong. I've still got power. The batteries have dropped a little bit. Their regular charge, their full capacity is about 12.8 volts, and I'm around 12.6 volts right now, which is low, but it's not bad. And so I've been very, very happy with this entire kit. I am not being paid by either one of these two companies to promote their product. I'm just giving you my honest review, and that is the Starlink does what it needs, but the solar kit from Harbor Freight, it's actually called the Thunderbolt solar kit, has really performed better than I expected it. So anyway, that is my ramble on Starlink and solar. And I really hope that you have enjoyed it, got something out of it, and I really do want to thank you for coming along with me on this journey that I call my two-spirit life.